Is it John Huddy from?
Yeah, Colonel, can you hear me?
Yeah,
It's
but
it's
just
John Huddy with Newsmax.
so just put on
So
your Zoom next time's Newsmax so I know who it is.
yeah, I don't know why it's coming up like that. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm wondering if there's any more intelligence information from the IDF having to do with the blast, the hospital blast in Gaza. If you guys have any numbers on casualties, and if there's any intelligence to suggest if Hamas was using either the hospital, the adjacent parking lot, any of that vicinity for its storage and firing of rockets. And also, second quick question having to do with U.S. military support. Some APCs arrived from the United States on a cargo plane this week. Is that the first contingent of more armored vehicles and equipment to come from the United States? If so, do you have any numbers on that? And where can we see those APCs that landed if they've been deployed to the field yet? Thank you.
So everything that we had on the hospital, we gave you, and I just want to emphasize again here to everyone that we were very surprised, actually disappointed that a lot of the press immediately went to the Hamas declarations that it was an Israeli airstrike before actually examining it. Everything that we had, we gave you. What did I do? What did we do that night? We took our ISR squadron that went out and did the visual. Gave you the visuals. You also saw them in the morning, also in black and white thermally at night, and also color in the morning that showed that it was a parking lot where that field launch landed. You saw that I think some of the footage also from Channel 12 and also from Al Jazeera that there was a lot of propellant that came out of that field launch because it was a long ranger of Islamic Jihad. So that was basically ignited and created that big fire that you saw in our visuals. And you heard the phone call. I mean, John, I don't have much more than that at this point. We're at war right now. We're already in the next stages. We gave you everything we could. About
No, I
APC,
understand. I was just asking if there was any update on that.
yeah,
I understand.
and the second piece, it's not APCs like Bradleys or Strikers. It's like a protected Jeep that you see driving around, where you see them in our borders, and they're part of the FMF. It just when the US says, okay, we're helping the Israel, they'll upgrade or move quickly the things that we have already bought through the FMF. So there's some things that are coming to Nevatim that are munitions. That cargo last night that landed with the protected vehicles is something that is part of the FMF effort. Yeah, that's what I have. Financial Times.
Richard, thanks for taking the question. I have a very broad question about the situation inside Gaza. What were the military objectives that you were hoping to achieve by cutting off food, medicine, and water, and specifically fuel? And now that food, medicine, and water are being allowed in, have those military objectives been achieved? And if so, what were they?
So I feel that I'm repeating myself on this one. We don't have the obligation to give Hamas electricity. They've been in control since 2005. Water, there's water in the south.
There actually isn't water in the south, Richard. The water that's being allowed in is about 5% of the needs, and without fuel for the generator, there is no drinking water for civilians. Since we're talking about fuel, could you discuss what military objectives are achieved by cutting off fuel to the civilian population? And how are you ensuring you're meeting obligations to Israeli basic law to ensure that civilians are not being disrupted their daily need of water? I'm just asking, you did this. What was the military objective behind it?
What's your name, sir?
Mehul, Financial Times.
Mehul, I didn't understand your question. I understand your statement. I didn't understand your question.
Question is, food, water, medicine, and fuel were cut off to the Gaza Strip. This was in pursuit of a military objective. What was the military objective?
We didn't cut off their. So first of all, I know there's a lot of talk about humanitarian assistance. It's not through the IDF. My military objective is to destroy Hamas. We're going to do everything we can to keep the minimum humanitarian things in consideration, and we're aware of the pressure. We're aware of the dire situation. I'm aware that there's water in the south. I'll go and check it. I'm not aware that there's no water in the south. I'll have to check and get back to you.
Well, I mean, without fuel, we're talking about 5% of the daily needs of the civilians, right? Because you need to pump it. But I'm just asking.
That's not my fuel. Fuel is not our responsibility. They destroyed the two crossings that were coming in from Israel. They attacked them. We're at war, Mehul.
I understand that. The political echelon very clearly said no food, no water, no medicine to be allowed in. I'm asking you, what was the military objective behind that decision?
These are not things that are discussed within the military objectives. Thank you.
They're discussed under them.
No, you're wrong. We can talk about it offline after.
I think we shall.
What?
Let's take it up offline. I'd appreciate that.
Okay. Ruth.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. I wondered if there were reports in the Israeli press yesterday that some of the bodies of the Hamas terrorists had signs of drug use or something like that, of hallucinogenic drugs or something. And I wondered if you could confirm that and maybe give some more details.
So we actually looked into that. You know, I've from what I've checked right now, this is what I know, and I looked into that. You know, that would have maybe served our purpose, but it's not the case. They were not in uppers, which, you know, everybody thought they were using. That's not aware of that. From what I checked, they weren't using it. Paul Adams, BBC.
Thank you very much, Richard. Could I ask if you have any more observations on the Yemen angle yesterday? You know, judging by the distance, the weapons used would have been pretty longer range than I think anything that's been recorded from the Houthis in the past. Do you have a sense of where these things were going, what kind of range weapons they were, and whether you think this was actually a direct effort by the Houthis or their backers to get involved in this current conflict?
So I'm going to be very careful with that one, Paul, because, you know, I was listening to, you know, I'm listening to my American brothers in the military there. General Ryder mentioned last night that they could have been flying north, but the question is if they would have arrived and maybe where they were intercepted. So I don't know. I don't know where the ship that intercepted them was. I don't know what their direction is. It'd be irresponsible for me to go into the nitty-gritty of that data. The backers we're aware of, that they're the Iranians. I think you all know that. But to give you, like, I'm an ex-ballistic missile defense guy, so it would be irresponsible on my behalf to give you the timeline, where it was intercepted and how long and what was shot at. I think there'll be more to come. I'll talk to my Americans, but it's their business. And I think they've been very clear, and again, in saying we are here supporting the Israelis to make sure that no third party joins into this. So I think if it was them and they did it, big success.
But your assumption is that they were shooting at you.
I don't know.
Okay.
Anshul.
Thanks, Richard. Sorry for being hoarse. I hope you can hear me. There was a lot of messaging yesterday in the Israeli media about finalizing of battle plans, of Defense Minister Gallant going and saying to the soldiers, "You're going to be there very soon." Where are we now? Because the impression that was being given last night was that this is a matter of hours until the IDF goes in.
Well, Anshul, sorry, I can't go beyond what the minister said, messaging wise. Do you think would it be fair for me to give here our timeline? Fabiana?
Hi, Richard. You said that you are acquiring information from Hamas militants you have captured alive. How many of them? How many terrorists are you keeping alive?
I don't know. I'll have to check. I don't know the number. Michael, I'm sorry.
Good morning, Richard. I'd like to pick up the question on the humanitarian case from another point of view. There is a deal between the United States and Israel by no less than the President of the United States, Netanyahu, that there shall be humanitarian aid. The question is not whether or not, but just when. So the army is objecting this time schedule so far. So can you elaborate on the reasons why you're objecting the beginning? The second question is, of course, you will not tell us.
Michael, how did you assume we're objecting? Where did you get that assumption? Did you hear that?
Because it said to be start this morning and it didn't start. And Hagari said we will set the time when and it will be possible. So there must be objections if it's not taking place so far.
It has got nothing.
But I have a second.
Michael,
may I ask a second question? The second question is, of course, you will not tell us when the ground invasions start, but can you tell us how the plans are made to maybe inform the media and the press? How are we going informed, and maybe also preparations on the ground for further reporting? Thanks.
So please take out of the narrative that narrative of the question of there's an IDF objective. That has nothing to do with the IDF. These are efforts happening in diplomatic at the leadership level. I know it was discussed between the Americans, and the IDF will comply with any political decision on the humanitarian aid. So the word objection, please take that out of the narrative. That's
okay. That's an answer. Okay, thanks.
Okay, and the
second
one is there will be no update whatsoever.
Okay, thanks anyway.
Beltrue.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, quick question. Just to double check, you said 203 hostages and 100 still missing. Is that correct? 100 additional to the 203?
Yes, that's what I have, yes.
Yes. And of the 100, is there a concern that they may never be found? And where is that concern coming from? Is it that there are maybe 100 that are being held in different parts of Gaza by perhaps groups which aren't Hamas or PIJ? Is that why you're worried they may never be found?
I don't think we've even gone to the scale of what we're dealing with right now with the amount here. I mean, just to remind everyone here, when we had one soldier, a soldier who was abducted into Gaza, the numbers here, and then everybody's now talking to me about the humanitarian. And again, we will act professionally and as much as we can, but we still have grandmothers, children, babies, girls inside the Gaza Strip, and it is a concern, and it's something we're taking into consideration. To give you, if I know where they are right now in the Gaza Strip, that's not in my lane. It's being handled in the most sensitive, closed circles within our intelligence community and our political echelon, and that's all I can say about it. David Brennan.
Thank you, Richard. There's been speculation that the Sayeret Matkal unit might be involved in the sensitive hostage operation, and I was wondering if you could comment on that. And then also there have been accusations from Gaza authorities and from the Jerusalem Patriarchate that the IDF was to blame for an explosion last night at the St. Porphyrios Orthodox Church in Gaza City. Can you comment on that? Thank you.
So I won't comment about Sayeret Matkal. Of course, our intelligence corps and all our special ops are involved in this. The whole country is mobilized in this operation. It's not only regular infantry. About the compound in Zaytun, we're very aware that the church, there's some damage to the church. We're going to come out shortly with, I hope, a visual and an answer. We do not target. I dealt with this personally also in 2014 with the compound in Zaytun. I can blah, 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 but I want to send you the visual of what happened there so you see it. What we were targeting, what happened, everything else is just words. So we'll be out shortly with what happened there, hopefully. I'm
Okay,
working
thanks.
hard on it. Nicolas Rosenbaum.
Yes, thank you, Richard. Do you have any kind of update about the bombing close to the Greek church in Gaza?
That's what I just talked about for the last 3 minutes. We'll
I'm
send
sorry,
it.
I was not with you.
Okay, so I won't repeat. I'll take one last question. Yakov Lapin.
Hi, thank you, Richard. Can you talk to us a little bit about any coordination that's still ongoing with the Palestinian Authority? How is the IDF working with the PA during these times? Thank you.
So I think it's at the same place there it was just before they started. Of course, it's edgy, but right now in Judea and Samaria, in a lot of the places, they're still. It's not as it used to be, but it's still in place. Nothing to add beyond that. Thank you very much, everyone.
Richard, it's Michal from CBS, and I raised my hand, so maybe you didn't see it, and it's a very short clarification that we're trying to get. Yesterday, Barkat, the economy minister, said that there's a green light from the government for the army. Our question is, does that mean that the army now has the green light to start the incursion whenever they're ready to do so?
I have no comment on that, Michal. Sorry.
Hi, sorry, NPR. Are American citizens, is there any talk about American citizens or foreign nationals leaving, Rafah crossing today or at any point?
I know there's a big effort. It's not in my lane. I know there's a big effort. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.